Good morning and welcome to another edition of Our Town on 94.9 and 99.1 The River and AM 1240 KDEC. My name is Darren Swinson. Our Town, as always, brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust. A little later on in the program, we will talk to State Representative Osmundson of Volga. We'll get the latest on the Decorah Parks and Recreation Department with Erika Huegel from the Parks and Recreation Department in Decorah. But we'll kick off the program this morning telling you the latest on Winneshiek County Development and Tourism with WCDT Director Stephanie Fromm. She will be our first guest now on Our Town on 94.9 and 99.1 The River and AM 1240 KDEC. We haven't talked to her in a while, and that's my bad since I haven't reached out and offered the conversation. But Winneshiek County Development and Tourism Director Stephanie Fromm joining us this morning for a conversation. Always stuff going on related to those matters in and around the Decorah area. Stephanie, thanks for taking the time. What's keeping you busy besides everything in your office?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. I appreciate that. There's just been some changes in the office environment. We got a new chamber director, Jessica Rilling. So that's been super great getting to know her and collaborating on some various projects, which is pretty exciting. The Deets app, we've been kind of pushing that lately for small businesses to be able to kind of real time promote some specials and stuff that are happening to try to target those visitors that are in the area. So we'll be kind of pushing that out here probably more heavily over the next month, just trying to get people used to using the app and then just kind of partnering with different outlets, the newspaper and radio, to try to promote it as well. So it's pretty exciting.
And give us a little bit more in-depth details about that Deets app. I know that came out, I think, probably a month to 6 weeks ago. Where did you get the idea to use such a thing to help out small businesses? What does it do? How do people download it? And what benefits do people have by using the app?
Sure, yeah. So actually it was Jessica's idea. It actually was launched in Cedar Rapids, and that's kind of where she came from, was the Cedar Rapids area. So in her past role, she had used the app, had worked with some people down there to take advantage of it, and it was super successful in the Marion, Cedar Rapids kind of area for small businesses, just promoting specials and just shop locally overall. So that was just a really neat thing. She kind of reached out to them when she got into this role up at the chamber. And we kind of just started having conversations with the app developers, just younger people, just looking to help people, help community and help build community and that loyal to local kind of mindset. But since then, so they branched out from the Cedar Rapids market and came up and tried to do a kind of a satellite launch in the Decorah area. So it's not just for Decorah businesses, but also for Decorah area businesses. So all of Winneshiek County and even beyond will be able to get on the app, promote their products and services, and then it's our job to kind of reach those consumers. So we want to make sure that we target, the Airbnbs and the VRBOs and the hotels and the motels all around Winneshiek County and beyond. So we'll be pushing some marketing pieces out to those folks to be able to promote to those visitors that are here for just a short time. And really, it's just downloading the app like you would normally on a smartphone. And it turns up, you log in and it's actually just a map, almost looking like a Google map. There's different features that they're just kind of playing around with right now. But for example, if you went on there, you'd see a little drink icon, and you could click on it and say Toppling Goliath was having some sort of event. You'd click on it and it would pop up and it would say, hey, bingo tonight from 4 to 6, make sure you come out, or Taco Tuesday at Don Jose, whatever it is. So it's something that doesn't necessarily put the stressor on the business owner, and the app will actually pull the data from their social media too. So if they're used to just posting things on their Facebook page or Instagram pages, the app developers have developed a model where it just kind of pulls it real time and says, oh, Don Jose is having Taco Tuesday or a special or whatever sort of thing that's going on that they're already doing. It's just going to pull it into this app so that we can kind of it'd be one-stop shop for people that are looking for something to do.
And I'd imagine it's just another example of how technology has changed the way marketing has taken place. I mean, I know you haven't been in this job a ton of years, but even since you took over in your current position, how has technology developed in such a way that marketing and reaching consumers is different than it was 5-10 years ago?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I'm coming up on my 6-year anniversary. So it just in that amount of time, that short amount of time, when I first started, there would be people walking in the door trying to talk to me about opening a business, and now it's just an email or a phone call. And technically I could probably work from anywhere, the coffee shop down the street, in the office, at home, and there's people just kind of reaching you when it's convenient for them. So it's a double-edged sword. You don't get the personal contact that all of us sort of need. You and I are meeting virtually now, so it's kind of nice to see your face. But yeah, no, it's a different world, and we're just trying to keep up with it. The incline of that technology curve is going to be almost impossible for us to kind of stay ahead of. But as long as we keep moving forward and just kind of adapting, I think we'll be okay.
On the tourism end of things, obviously the entire tourism industry took a hit last year for obvious reasons. How do you get people back to the area? How do you make sure and sell to folks that, hey, we're going to be open for business? And is it a little easier to market to a place like Decorah in Winneshiek County, since it's more of a target for maybe a day trip or a short weekend trip as compared to a longer vacation stay? How does that all encompass in the world that we're living in right now?
Yeah, which all of the data that I've looked at, and just kind of strategic planning for tourism marketing, we've been really hitting the social media pretty hard, Facebook and Instagram, and just kind of targeting the audience that would be looking for something outdoorsy to do. We have kind of a robust tourism attraction, I guess, really, with all the trails and the outdoor activities and recreation, and then just like the downtown aspect, and then all of the attractions outside of the city even. So we've been kind of trying to promote small business through our marketing campaigns, just to kind of give them a boost, as well as just those sort of outdoor attractions. With everything being shut down last spring and early summer, as things started to open back up, we had a huge boost in sort of that hotel motel, I guess tax, is what you'd kind of say,
Revenue.
revenue. So, I know it definitely did take a hit, yes, but I think we're going to come out of this really strong. There was a ton of people that were in the community, and a lot of the Airbnbs and the private home rental kind of industry had seen a dramatic increase in business as compared to before. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about kind of promoting this as a weekend extended stay trip to those that maybe are traveling 2 to 6 hours to come here. My office is in the visitor center, and we're constantly getting people coming in that said, we're just sick of being at home, and we thought we'd take a trip. And it's during the week, so it's pretty exciting to see that too.
And with the outdoor amenities that Winneshiek County has, were places that market and have those outdoor amenities, did they maybe manage the situation from a tourism perspective a little bit better than maybe places that require crowds to be a part of a tourism attraction?
Yeah, I think we did a really great job. I can't speak for everyone, obviously, but in my personal opinion, I think we responded very well. Businesses are still doing what's best for them, and the community, which is exciting to see too. I'm happy to see that. I think, because we have a river that flows through our county, and that's that sort of water recreation, I think it also draws that sort of market of people, young families bringing their children here. They want to experience things. So I think that our businesses and our people here kind of accommodating the tourism, but just trying to attract local buyers and consumers as well. There's probably a lot of people that live here that have never done some things. There's some people that live here that came into the visitor center just the other day and said, we've never seen Melanophy Springs. We'd like to go out there and take a look. So I think that's super exciting too. People are finding the time to experience their own community and invest in that sort of tourism and promote it kind of organically too.
I know one of the things you've in your office has worked very hard on is the issue of childcare, and it's been an issue in a lot of communities. And studies have proven that Winneshiek County is kind of that childcare desert. If it's sometimes hard to get people to move there for good jobs, if they know they don't have options for their kids to go during the middle of the day while they're at work. What is the latest regarding your efforts related to improve access to childcare in Northeast Iowa? Where is that issue at right now?
Yeah, that's a big one. I don't know if we have enough time for that one, but I've been presenting to some of the city stakeholders groups. I've been to Rotary. I've been to a lot of these organizations that have these sort of community leaders involved in, and just kind of promoting the fact that, as this transient period of your life, you don't necessarily think about how childcare impacts you as a family or as a workforce, or like, me as a working individual, because it's tough for a certain number of years, and when that period of time is over and your children go to school and they're able to stay home by themselves, you kind of forget those sort of struggles that you had experienced in years prior. Winneshiek County is not looking great. It's definitely a crisis that I'm extremely passionate about. Both of my economic development boards, Decorah Jobs and Winneshiek County Development and Tourism, have made it their priority to address the crisis before it gets worse. Over the last 2 years, Winneshiek County has actually lost 70 spots. And when I talk about spots, I mean actual spots that you can take a child. We have about 2,500 0 to 12-year-olds in the county that need some sort of care. Now, whether that's all day care or after school or before school. So we have 2,500, and we only actually have about 930 identified spots available. So when I say we've lost 70 spots in 2 years, it's kind of a gut punch, because it's like, it's shocking to me that many in-homes had closed down, and providers. Over the last 5 years, I think the statistic is Winneshiek County has actually lost 20% of their providers. And in the state of Iowa, in the last 5 years, the state has actually lost 40%. So it's not just a Decorah problem. It's not a Winneshiek County problem. It's actually the state and beyond. It's everybody's problem at this point. There's just a lot of struggles as a provider to make a livable wage, which is something that I definitely want to help with. Promote the actual industry is something that we are very passionate about. And then adding spots. I mean, we want to create a sustainable sort of business model that will not only sustain and make sure that certain spots are available, but also be kind of a, I don't want to say leader, but almost like just a teammate for all of the other providers to be able to lean on this kind of community driven organization to be able to help in-home providers when they want to take a vacation. It kind of displaces some of the families to have to be forced to take vacation as well, or to find alternative childcare. And when you're in a desert and people are getting calls every single day to take an infant or a toddler or a school ager, it's not the welcoming environment that we sort of pat ourselves on the back on, saying, hey, you should come live here. You should come take this job. Oh, wait, we can't take care of your kids though, so don't bring them, So it's like this fine line of how do we become as the economic developer, my goal is how do we become the community that, and when I say community, I mean all of us in Winneshiek County. We are a community How do we be the one place that has too much childcare? How do we be the place that invests in young people so that we attract this sort of the families, the younger people looking to that we need to fill jobs? You know, we have an aging population. Our population is decreasing, and they're also getting older, which is good. You know, like, you know, that we're, you know, the retirement destination for a lot of people, but at the same time, it's concerning because they're retired and they're not going to go work at our industries or our large employers or our manufacturing or our small businesses. And they're not filling our schools, which is also concerning.
Obviously, the issue and the problems it causes are easily identified. Coming up with the solution is the hard part. What are some of the options to help alleviate some of those concerns, and how difficult is the answer to that question?
Yeah, you know, I know I've talked to some other counties or communities throughout the state, and I've been doing this for just over a year now. But you know, a year ago, we were actually funded through a USDA grant to actually research and develop a model that would work. And so we've been spending the last year of our time really just kind of bringing different partners to the table, working with small business development counselors through NICC and the SBA, and just kind of bringing those large industry leaders to the table as well, because really this is a workforce issue. You know, when you start talking with Collins or Stanley or Deco or Gemini, and they're saying, hey, we can't find workers, find us those workers, it's kind of putting pressure on me where, okay, so how do I attract people to come move here? Oh wait, we have a housing shortage, so we'll start investing in housing. Oh, but you can't bring your family because we don't have daycare, so one of the spouses will have to stay home with those children, which then immediately pulls a qualified, maybe educated, you know, person from the workforce that may otherwise have been someone also filling a job. You know, so it is the childcare crisis is definitely a workforce issue. It's also a community vitality issue. You know, if we don't have young people filling our schools, we're just slowly dying on the vine, to be honest. It's at a point now that I'm, you know, I'm emotionally invested in this at this point, because I've learned so much about it over the last year, that if we don't act now and we don't start investing in early childhood education, safe and quality childcare that's reliable, if we don't do those things, we may go too far past that curve, and it will be impossible for us to come back from that.
And being the fact this is such an issue statewide, and I know up here in Minnesota where I live, it's an issue up here as well. Do you feel you're kind of on your own in trying to form a solution? Because politicians can talk about it at the state and federal level, but again, Decorah and Winneshiek County, not the biggest county in the state of Iowa. If there's state funds, it's going to go to larger communities. Do you feel you're a little bit on your own in trying to create that creative solution to this issue?
You know, we went into it thinking that we went into it thinking, how do we create a model that we can be sustainable on our own and not be reliant on federal and state dollars? And now it's come to a point where it's gaining that sort of national attention. Finally, you know, we've been pushing it. We've called a lot of the legislators and our community stakeholders that have relationships, you know, outside of this Decorah Winneshiek County bubble. We've been contacting people at that federal level, telling them, hey, we're struggling here as a rural community. We're trying to create a model that doesn't exist elsewhere, and we need some help. You know, financially, we need help here. We're struggling. So they're starting to listen, and they're starting to hear us. I mean, I don't know if you followed Governor Reynolds, but she's talking about childcare almost every time she has her proclamations. You know, and the president now too is investing in families to be able to afford the childcare. So it's not only about this piece of where is the childcare, but it's also when you get it, how do you pay for it? You know, not many families can afford $1,500 a week on daycare, and that's me. You know, I have 3 little kids 6 and under, and we were paying that, for every week. So it's a big bill, and if you have to be in the workforce, you just kind of have to deal with it. So I'm glad to see that the government's finally noticing and recognizing the importance of daycare, and it's not only daycare but childcare and early childhood development, because those first few years of a person's life basically create the person. Teachers don't teach the public, teachers create the public. So.
And I think you brought up a very good point. There's the difference between just watching a kid and helping that kid develop, and those are two vastly different things.
They are, yeah. I can't preach enough about that sort of quality of early childhood education. And our partners, Child Care Resource and Referral, they do a wonderful job visiting with the in-homes and the centers, and trying to help them with things. The school districts also help with curriculum development for age appropriate. So there's actually curriculum and teaching going on in a lot of the centers and some of the in-homes as well, that are helping infants learn things or helping toddlers learn things. And it's not just how to crawl and walk, but it's how to turn knobs or switch switches or open latches. I mean, these are all things that will create that sort of mindset, that creativity that sparks a person's mind.
Anything else you want to pass on to the public, as long as I gave you the opportunity to have a conversation this morning? Anything else new and exciting happening at Winneshiek County Development and Tourism?
I really appreciate you reaching out and taking this time. I can't thank the media enough, because you guys have a tough job too, and trying to follow back up and circle back with all these people, and so I feel you. So feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'd be glad to take some time up and talk about some of the projects that we're working on. So hopefully I'll be back again in the next month or so, and be able to share some really cool things.
Steph, always good catching up with you. Appreciate the time this morning.
Thanks, Darren.
Stephanie Fromm from Winneshiek County Development and Tourism. Having a conversation this morning with Erika Huegel from the Decorah Parks and Recreation Department. I've got her new last name correct. That was victory number 1 of this conversation. And Erika, I think you'd agree with me. 2020 was a lot of things, but I thought it was a great year to get married. You agree?
Yeah, it worked just great for the two of us.
No doubt about it. And things keep rolling at the Decorah Parks and Recreation Department. And for the most part, you guys have been able to keep your schedules really going as normal as possible ever since the world changed about a year ago. How have you guys been able to do that?
Honestly, a lot of it is being flexible when things change, and having, protocols in place, and working with the school system to determine their protocols and kind of following the lead there. So we've been fortunate that we were able to use school facilities for some of our winter activities, and now moving into spring, we're hopeful that that'll help us as well, being able to be outside. And we've continued to apply the policies set forth by the school system. They require kids to wear masks in PE and recess and everything else. So we've had kids wear masks in everything we've done. And, it's worked out pretty well so far. We hit a pause at one point in our basketball season, but we're able to kind of regroup and continue on a few weeks later. And realistically, it's kind of a community effort in that respect, and just some adaptability from the participants and the parents and the community to know that things might look different, and that's okay, and to remain flexible in all that.
And I know one thing new that you offered this year was some outdoor winter activities with some walking events. How'd they go over?
Yeah, they went over really well. We offered a winter walkers program in February and March, and we had over 120 participants, which was awesome, and reached a little bit different age group than we typically do, with some, not as many kids, but more adults, which was fun to see as well. And they've been super engaged and super fun to work with. And kind of our next question on the docket is, how do we continue to reach out to this group of people that definitely wants to be involved, and how can we better serve them in our programming along with the youngsters?
And was it a case of a lot of people just kind of wanting to get out of the house and do something?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that little bit of extra, motivation for signing up for something and getting those emails on a weekly basis and submitting how much time you're walking kind of got people out of the house. We heard from a lot of people that even in that cold spell, they bundled up and headed out, even if it was for a short walk. And some of them were amazed that, oh, if I bundled up right, I wasn't too cold and it was enjoyable to get outside. So that was fun to hear too.
And in a world that masks are required, a lot of places, masks allow you to do a little bit more outdoors when it comes to winter activities as compared to not having those masks covered up. Because I know every time I went out and shoveled snow, I put the mask on this year. I wasn't as cold when I came back in.
Yeah, that's for sure. They're kind of an advantage when it's so cold outside.
No doubt about it. And I know a lot of your registration for your spring activities ended earlier this week and everything like that. And when you really get down to it, are you seeing the numbers in the spring activities as healthy as they've been?
Yeah, we just wrapped up registration for spring stuff with the Easter egg hunt and with soccer. And we've got, 120, 130 kids signed up for that Easter egg hunt, which is the most I've seen since I started over 7 years ago. And, soccer is right up there where it was in 2019 as well. So I think with the safety protocols that are in place at the schools and through the things we've done and in the community and with being able to get outside, people are really excited about the season. And we hope that we can continue to offer these programs that allow people to feel comfortable to participate.
And before we know it, summer activities will be going soon. When does registration start for all the fun stuff you guys got going in the summer?
Yeah, we've started the planning process and registration will open May 1st. I would anticipate shortly before then, we'd start to put some information up online. I know a lot of people are anxious to get signed up for summer things, and unfortunately, we're still on pause for a little bit as we continue to finalize our summer staff and finalize the recreation programs that we'll offer, as well as what the pool will look like. So there's a lot that goes into it, and we're in that process now, which is super exciting. But yeah, May 1st is that big day of opening registration for summer.
And compare this to 12 months ago at this time. Is it a little more exciting planning, knowing the fact that you're probably going to have these activities as compared to planning, knowing you might not be able to?
Oh, definitely. I think, summer's always our most fun time around here with the activities, the kids out of school and more of our stuff, the swimming pool, all of those things. And this year, we just know so much more information than we did at this point last year. At this point last year, it was more a reactive situation as opposed to a proactive situation. And this year, we feel like we know a lot more. We can plan better. We can offer more things. And we've become used to, I don't want to say used to, but we've adapted to the current situation. And I think we feel comfortable moving forward with some things and knowing which protocols need to be in place versus continuing to learn along the way, which the situation will change. So we're still going to be adaptable in that sense, but certainly have a lot more information to go off of planning for summer this year compared to last year.
And I know a couple of years ago, you started a lot of online registration for activities. I'd imagine that's continuing. How has that gone over?
Yeah, that's gone over awesome. I was just kind of looking at stuff the other day, and I'd say between 85 and 90% of our registrations for spring soccer happened online, and people really seem to appreciate that. It helps us out in terms of having everything in a specific database, and it's more accessible to people. If you work from 8 to 5, you can go on at 7 or 8 o'clock at night and register your kid for programs and get that information. So that registration system has been an awesome asset to our department, especially at this time when it's not as likely that you're, maybe out to get out and about and register for stuff, but can do it from the comfort of your own home.
And of course, offer the activities that you do. You need help to do so. Some in the form of part-time help, others in the form of volunteer help. If folks are interested in either of those opportunities, how do they get involved?
Yeah, we're at the time right now where it's kind of peak hiring season for both recreation activities, for park staff, for swim pool lifeguards and staff. And so if people are interested, we've got an application form here in the office. We would certainly encourage them to either stop in or give us a call, 563-382-4158. We can answer their questions and get them the information we need, because we're certainly accepting applications right now. And realistically, our programs, our parks, our swimming pool cannot run without both staff and volunteers. And we've been very fortunate in the support of the young people in the community and older adults too, being willing to serve in some of those roles that really makes the department what it is.
And of course, the swimming pool got a little bit of a late start last year, but you were able to have a season. A lot of communities did not have that season. What type of decisions need to be made between now and perhaps the end of May in how the swimming season will look like? What are you going through right now in some of the decisions that need to get made?
Yeah, well, we're certainly comparing what we did last year to what we did pre-COVID, and now using the information that we know about COVID itself to figure out what makes the most sense for this year. And I think it's going to be the same process that we use for all of our programs. What's happening in the community, what's happening in the schools, what makes sense for an outdoor venue versus an indoor venue. And so we've got a lot of things to consider there. One of the main things too is training our staff. That's a huge aspect of the pool season, training lifeguards and pool managers and that type of thing. And so as we go into the season here and the planning for the season, all those things will definitely take a lot of consideration on our part. And like I said before, I think we're in a much better position this year than we were last year. Last year, we kind of had to react to the information that continued to be coming to us, versus this year, we hope we can be a little more proactive in anticipating those things, but also, like I said, remaining flexible, because you never know when things might change.
Anything else you want to pass on to the masses this morning?
Yeah, no, the only other thing I would say is the only other event that's coming up here quickly for us, which I know a lot of high schoolers and parents and administration are working through right now, is our post-prom event, which we've posted annually for many, many years, working with the school district on that and those safety protocols, as well as how that might look this year compared to years past. Certainly always accepting volunteers for that event, as well as collecting community donations right now, which Decorah community, parents, and businesses have been extremely supportive, and we're grateful for that and grateful for their continued support this year as well.
Erika, we appreciate the time and the update, and we thank you and everybody else at the Decorah Parks and Recreation Department for what you do for the community. Always a pleasure catching up with you, and we'll chat soon.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me, Darren.
Erika Huegel from the Decorah Parks and Recreation Department. Getting a legislative update this morning from Ann Osmundson, state representative from Volga, and getting the latest on what's happening down in Des Moines. And probably the main news headline coming out of the legislature this week: changes to Iowa's gun laws are on their way to the governor's desk. The main change is no longer requiring Iowans to get state permits for buying or carrying handguns in public. Related to this specific issue, Ann, where did you stand on this issue, and why do the supporters of this bill say this change is necessary?
Well, good morning, Darren. I did support the bill. In the 3 years that I've been at the Iowa House, I have had many, many emails from my district asking for constitutional carry to be passed. It is a person's Second Amendment right, and the Constitution says it should not be infringed. So having to pay the state for a permit to carry seems to be an infringement. The option still will be there. We're not taking that away. So, if people plan to carry into another state, they will need a permit that has reciprocity with that state to still enter. So the permit's not going away, but it does offer people the opportunity to carry permitless.
About a year ago, Governor Reynolds, when asked about Iowa's gun laws, she said the current Iowa gun laws are good policy. In your mind, why should the legislature fix what the governor said herself wasn't broken?
Well, I do think it helps to improve public safety. For one, this bill does allow more trained law enforcement officials to carry on school grounds, which is always a concern for people. So on and off duty, officers are able to carry. Additionally, let's see, it increases the penalty for selling a firearm to someone who shouldn't have one, like just person-to-person sales. So it's likely to send these sellers then to someone that has an FFL so they can do a background check, which I think is, another important thing to remember. We didn't take away background checks. There will probably be more background checks done. Previously, a person could get a permit to carry or purchase that lasted 5 years, and they were able to purchase as many firearms as they chose, where now, without a permit, you will have to get a background check every time you go to purchase a firearm.
As you very well know, oftentimes in this country, current events prompt political discussions, whether that's fair or not, whether that's right or not. That's just the way things are. With the news of 2 recent mass shootings this week, one in Georgia last week and one in Colorado this week, do you feel that might slow down any public push to lessen restrictions on firearms?
Interesting question. I'm sure there's some that will call for tighter restrictions, but we all know that the bad actors will be able to get their hands on firearms regardless of the law. Also find it interesting that in 2020, the firearms sales skyrocketed. Maybe it was the movement to defund the police, riots breaking out in the cities, the uncertainty of COVID that perhaps led people to purchase guns. I don't see it slowing down probably.
Also related to current events, unfortunately, some very tragic news out of Anamosa yesterday. 2 employees at the state penitentiary died after being assaulted by an inmate at the state penitentiary. Whether this becomes political or not, sometimes issues like this get brought up. Do you feel that situation will prompt any discussion at the State House, and if so, what?
I'm not really sure on that. The news is tragic. These guys were public servants, lost their lives on the line of duty. I am not sure what the situation will be, if there'll be discussions at the State House, but right now there's an investigation ongoing, so I'm sure it'll be after that is completed and we find out what happened.
News coming out earlier this week that a state panel is predicting tax revenue coming into the state will continue to grow at a steady clip. I know a lot of economists are saying Iowa's economy is handling this situation a lot better than most other states related to COVID. Knowing the fact that tax revenue will be coming in, at least that's what the state panel and the state experts are saying right now, how will that affect budget discussions between now and the end of the legislative session? How will that affect any discussions on possible tax cuts moving forward?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I am really proud of our governor for the way she's handled the budget through COVID. And also over the years, the House Republicans have been very conservative in how we've budgeted. At the beginning of session, yes, we did have some conversations about possibilities with the budget, but waited for the REC to meet, and their forecast, like you said, has come back very bullish. The state's financial position is strong. There are triggers set in place so that will push us into different tax brackets, doing tax cuts. We're looking at those very strongly, but the report just came out, so we're just starting again to talk about those situations. But a lot of good things happening, and yet we will try to be conservative, as down the road you never know what's going to happen.
And I think the last year has taught us a lot regarding that. Ann, we appreciate the time and the update on what's going on in Des Moines. Look forward to talking to you here in a couple weeks.
All right. Thank you, Darren.
Ann Osmundson, State Representative from Volga, joining us with a legislative update. Our thanks to our guest on the program this morning, Stephanie Fromm from Winneshiek County Development and Tourism, Erika Huegel from the Decorah Parks and Recreation Department, and State Representative Ann Osmundson from Volga. Don't forget, we are also now airing these on YouTube, so you can watch our town. We'll put up the YouTube link on the River Facebook page each and every week. So our thanks to our sponsor, Decorah Bank and Trust, our thanks to our guest, and our thanks to you for logging on or tuning in or watching our town. Brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust, as always, on 94.9 and 99.1 The River and AM 1240 KDEC.